Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a review for you. From Image Comics, this is Vanish #1. It's written by Donny Cates, art by Ryan Stegman, inks by J.P. Mayer, colors by Sonia Oback, and then letters by John J. Hill. This book was fantastic. It has to be like hands down my read of the week, maybe read of the month. I don't know, it's up there. It's a hot book. Image really pushed this book, but I mean, for very good reason. I mean, I love this first issue. The art, definitely the story. The story was the major plus to this book. I've mentioned this before, but I've been waiting for Image to come out with their next big, comic, kind of like The Walking Dead, Invincible, Spawn. We've had a couple close contenders, and I would have said, I thought I found them. Geiger was one, but I mean, Geiger took a break, and, it's going to be a long wait before we get any more Geiger. And then we had Shadecraft. Guess what? It's on a break. There's a couple other comics that have come up, like Frontierman, I thought maybe. But this book right here definitely has some legs. So let's get into it. The book starts off, and we're just following this. It's a guy that's complaining about, like, he can't really sleep. He's taking pills and alcohol and drugs and all kind of different methods of sleeping, and but it's just not working. Eventually, like, as he's walking down this alley, I mean, he's like paying more thought into his own thoughts than actually his surroundings. But sure enough, down here, some guys, creep up behind him, smack him with a baseball bat, and he falls to the ground. As he falls to the ground, we find out our would-be, thieves. They end up grabbing his wallet, and we find out our main character's his name. His name is Oliver Harrison. Right after that, we see a superhero that swoops in to save him. The superhero eventually kills both the thieves, giving him the choice to, basically die or be very badly beaten. But the superhero's name in question is Battle Rocket. Battle Rocket does, he ends up saving the guy, and he comes back after he, flies them to the moon. No, I didn't go that far, but he does, he flies pretty far and smashes them down so much that he comes back all covered in blood over here. And this is kind of where we find out the main story, because right here, Oliver kind of mentions to Battle Rocket that he has messed up, and something awoken with him. We see in this panel over here that sure enough, something has awoken with him. He shows the symbol to Battle Rocket. His eyes light up on fire, and then he tells us a story. He goes backwards, and they take us to the Mistlands of Everkeep, and it's supposed to be like this magical world that's like parallel to ours. They call it the Outworld of Magic. It's basically like our world's supposed to have magic or something like that, and maybe there is some, but basically it all leaks into this other world kind of thing. This is where this guy is from. Eventually, I think, everybody's trained to do magic or something like that, kind of like a Harry Potter thing. Eventually, he says he comes to like teenager age or something like that, and a villain eventually pops up. He's like a student of the main wizard or whatever, but his name is Baron von Vanish, and that's this guy right here. He also has this collective group that's with him called the Hollows, or the Hallows, I think. It might be Hallows. Eventually, this guy ends up killing that whole, as you can see right here, he kills Everkeep, the city where our main character is from. Eventually, there is a last stand where we see this wizard, and he has all the kids, our main character being one of the kids. The kid is actually supposed to be prophesized. He's supposed to be this chosen. He's supposed to be the ultimate badass wizard. Of course, he's still in training. He's not really there, but he does mention, and this is him right here at a younger age, but he does mention that on this day he did break 2 rules, and this world is pretty evident about their rules. Both rules that he broke is supposed to be death is the only outcome if you get caught kind of thing. The one rule that he broke is he looks into this sphere right here. The sphere is supposed to show him like pieces of his future. He does end up glimpsing pieces of his future, and he sees like all kinds of things. Most of it's like fire and brimstone and the end of the world kind of stuff. But he does figure out what he has to do. He goes back, and we are like at the final stand where Baron von Vanish is with the Ultimate Wizard. I can't remember if the Ultimate Wizard is given a name, but that's basically his status. He's like, top wizard, Merlin status. But basically, there's this speech about like how, Baron von Vanish was supposed to be like the greatest apprentice ever, and blah blah blah, and he took all his magic and basically turned to evil. And then the wizard's like, yeah, well, I didn't teach you everything. And he tries doing some magic, as you can see right here, to Baron von Vanish, and it does nothing. He shows like his true form over here, and he states that from the good wizards, he never learned anything, and he eventually, in gruesome fashion, which they show here, he basically just like, the wizard, he explodes in his intestines and blood and guts, and it goes everywhere. Baron von Vanish does make a comment about that the kid, it's like a sad day for the kids. He didn't want them to see that. He's not that type of villain kind of thing. And as this happens, our main character Oliver shows up. He teleports in, and the teleportation's kind of cool. It looks like this pixelated stuff when they teleport in. But he basically tells Baron von Vanish that that's it, that this is his last stand. He's not going to go any forward. Baron von Vanish actually is like, well, who the hell's speaking to me? Who the hell is you? And he's like, it doesn't matter who I am. I'm the last person you're going to speak to. And Baron von Vanish is like, man, he's like, there's no magic on this world that can kill me. And Oliver's like, yeah, I know. And as he says that, he pulls out a gun that he went and retrieved from our world, and he eventually just caps him in the face. Like he said, no magic from that world could kill him, so the dude went and got a gun. It was the second rule that he broke, was they're not supposed to bring, I think, anything from the real world, or it could be they're not supposed to bring anything deadly from the real world, or something like that. But he does brandish the gun and shoot the guy in the head. Everybody there knows the rules, and this is kind of one of the kicker. He did save the day, and sure enough, as soon as it gets done, everybody starts cheering for him. He thinks everybody's going to be insanely mad. But on the opposite, he did save the day, so everybody kind of forgot what just happened kind of thing. But he is not done, as shown here, because I mentioned before that guy had a group with him, which they show flying off. In the celebration, and all the kids and apprentices thinking they're saved, they end up grabbing a hold of Oliver, and it ends up allowing the Hollows to escape evil for another day kind of thing. The story goes on that the Hollows go silent for years and years and years, because at the beginning of the comic, Oliver's in his 30s, 40s, something like that. And as it goes, he's just been living in the real world. Kind of reminds me of Fable and Bixby with the wolf. But basically, he's been living in the real world. That kind of explains the reason he hasn't been able to sleep, because what just awoke was his mission. He for some reason, he had forgotten that he was on this mission to kill the Hollows, and the reason being is because they killed his parents and the city and everything he knew. And that's basically it. Now that it's awoken and he's found one of the Hollows, see? Well, we found that out. Rocket Punch right here, because the book goes right back to current status with Rocket Punch and grown Oliver. We come to find out that Rocket Punch is actually a Hollow in disguise, and he's claiming to be a superhero. He even states that the other Hollows are kind of doing the same thing, and they've been in the real world for a little while, pretending to be superheroes, but they're really, really villains. There is a moment when because Oliver, he is a magician, and they do show it. That's what the green stuff is that comes from his eyes. But there is a scene when he does this little flick kind of magic thing, and it brushes aside our superhero slash villain, Rocket Punch, whatever he's called. But when he flicks him, it makes his appearance change, and like he's able to, like, basically he had like a glamour spell that made him look like a kid, but the guy's really like 150 or 400 years old, 827, I'm sorry, 827, so like right here, this is him getting flicked with that spell, and you can see, I mean, he doesn't even have lips, nose, like it's all just kind of like muddled skin, it's falling apart. At this point, we do see that, like, basically Rocket Punch is like, oh, well, you can't kill me, blah blah blah. After like, he kind of takes him out, and there's some scenes here. Oliver does brandish a weapon, and it's kind of like a ghost-looking mace. But after getting him to a standstill, and basically to the point where Rocket Punch can't fight anymore, or Battle Rocket, or whatever his name is, the real glamour spell comes off, and we finally get to see what this hollow looks like, and it is right here. Basically at this point, he is to the point where he is almost dead and dying, and he has no more power. Basically at this point, Oliver does kill him, and he basically takes his magic from him, and somehow combines it with his own. When he combines it with his own, it like makes him more powerful than he was before. He does go back. He does mention one of the other people that made it out of Everkeep with him. It's a very brief character in the very beginning of the book, and we do find out that he goes home to her at the end of the book, but like I said, it's a very brief mention. I feel like we're going to get a bigger story between the two, because they both left what was left of Everkeep after Baron von Vanish. Basically, we find out that emblem was a status. It was like something that all the apprentices had in Everkeep. When Battle Rocket came close to him, that's why it lit up, because it's part of his it's part of his agenda, part of his revenge thing. Now it's tied to any hollow that shows up. So anytime a hollow shows up, the thing's going to light up bright red and show, it's going to, whether they have the glamour spell or not, he'll be able to like spot them or whatever. He also says that like during that fight, he would have been a little bit stronger if he was wearing his uniform. And he mentions that he's like kept it hidden for years and stuff like that, and they show the uniform right here, and it's also the same thing he's wearing right here. We just didn't get to see him in this yet, but he does. I mean, he puts it on at the very end. We just don't get to see it in action, kind of thing, because that's him wearing the suit. And right here is kind of like the hint to the next like where the story's going, because they show some of the other hollows. I know it's very like, but here's Battle Rocket, and then there's like boop, 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 boop. I don't think they mention any other names, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 looking other individuals, and it could be maybe 4, but it's really like this guy there's like this shadow with like 2 eyes back here. So that's why I'm saying 5. I think it's 1, 2, this guy's dead, the girl, and that guy. And that's where this book leaves us off. It does show some of the other like one other variant cover that came out. It does show us a preview for the second cover that's coming, and that's basically it. It gives you like some different like places you can go get merch if you want to, that kind of stuff. Signed items, variants, that kind of thing. They do give this cool like Stegman black and white at the very end, which I thought was really dope. But that's it. My thoughts, they're pretty much all woven in there. But man, I love this book. The art, the story. Once they got into the whole magic thing, because I did not know magic was going to be in this at all. I thought it was going to be some new superhero kind of thing. So that part caught me by surprise. But hey, that's my review. Please like, comment, subscribe. And if you picked this comic up, what did you think? Did you think it was as incredible as I thought it was, or did you pass? If you did pass, you better go pick it up. No, I'm playing. Hey, but that's my review. I'll let you guys go. And I will see y'all tomorrow because tomorrow's new comic book day. Alright, guys.